Hello.
Hi.
We are back again. It's
And
Friday.
Starting a cult as always.
We're here. We're doing our particular cultly activities.
Oh,
I
yeah.
I want to interject here.
You're not interrupting anything.
I need to make an Uber correction.
All right. Well, that's Grant. I'm Jake.
Yeah. Last week, in reference to the large snakes,
Yes.
I want it to be notified. Yes. I hope if you listened to last week and you're like, this fucking guy was full of shit, I'm never listening to him again. I hope you give me a chance here because I made an enormous mistake in my note-taking process, and in a moment of not thinking, I replaced the word feet with meters. And I'm not saying that these snakes aren't enormous, but they're nowhere near the amount of enormous I said they were.
You were blowing my fucking mind last week.
I truly apologize.
And I told so many people afterward. I was like, no, you gotta believe me.
No, you gotta not believe me because I made it. But see, I want transparency, and I don't want to gloss over that. I made a mistake.
So it wasn't 27 meters, it was 27 feet.
Yes.
Or 20,
30,
whatever.
I think it was like 31 feet or 30.
Whatever the number was, it was feet.
Yes, it was feet, and I own it. If you catch me, email me some mistakes I make, I'll correct them. I'm a mistake man. I make mistakes sometimes.
Mistakeman.
So now that that's out of the way, I apologize
So embarrassing.
to my community. We're gonna, by the name of this episode, we're gonna be talking about something. They're called the Finders, and you might remember we did a brief overview, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, Finders
before.
Pizzas.
But it's an interesting story that we thought was it fits into our MO as a show.
It's worth revisiting.
It's right up our alley. It's right up your alley. So it works for all of us.
Yeah. Our alleys merge into wood. They're the Finders.
Agreed.
Right there.
But yeah, so today we're going to be talking about, it's a question that has yet to be answered. Are they a cult? Are they a community? What the fuck are they? Are they satanic? Are they wholesome? Are they rapists? Are they lovers? Like, what is happening
here? Seems like they're all those things.
It's it's insane. So just strap in. Take the proverbial seatbelt and just smash it into your clicking lock mechanism.
The clicker.
And enjoy the ride. Because we're going to talk about...
We're going Mach speed.
The Finders Cult.
Mach, which Mach you want?
Let's start at
2.
Mach 1.
I
don't want to... I got to
get to 18.
18. What are you, a child? I've been going Mach 18 since before.
Mach 18? I remember 3rd grade.
I was doing that before they invented the word Mach, okay? So we're going...
Back then it was just Zoom.
We're going Kepler 3 tonight. We're going to be blasted out into the stratosphere.
Right into the Finders' faces.
So let's begin.
Yeah. On February 8th of 1987. New York Times ran a story describing 6 disheveled children discovered at a park in Tallahassee, Florida, with 2 very well-dressed men. All right, their names were Douglas Edward Zimmerman, who's 27, and Michael Houlihan, 28, and they were driving a blue van. Interesting van. And the children, there were 2 girls and 4 boys. They were between the ages of 2 and 7 years old, and they appeared dirty, covered in insect bites, without proper clothing, and malnourished.
Yes.
This isn't like a good thing to see at a park.
The one thing that caught me about the initial report, that it caught my interest because the person that called in to make this report, they claimed that of the 6 children, it looked like 2 or 3 of them were sexually abused. And...
Who knows?
It was one of those things. I was laying down listening to this guy talk about it on YouTube, and I was like, how do you quantify that, I guess? To quote the great Mitch, how do you quantify what that looks like? How do you look at someone and you're like,
how do you quantify that?
This happened to you. Like, it looks like this happened to you. It's a wild thing to
There's probably,
accuse.
I don't know anything about it, but I'm sure there's injuries that are... that align with that kind of abuse.
Yeah,
I know that some of them had scraped knees. and that's not good. And then further analysis, some of them didn't have underwear. Some of them were like half naked because they were so just not well taken care of.
It's fine. I don't
so
wear
there
underwear.
could be like visual, and me either, but it's by choice. It's not because I don't have them.
Oh, I have them.
You know?
I choose to not
I just
wear
hang them on my wall. But no, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
The police
I'll
in some
save
of their
my
reports
speculation.
also said that. After some, Anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. So they're covered in bug bites. Some of them don't have underwear. They're dirty. And they're malnourished. So Zimmerman and Houlihan were arrested for child abuse originally. The original report implies that this case could be anything from kidnapping to sex trafficking to cult activity. And this is where the finders come in.
Yes.
Right. This at this time, the Finders cult was based in Washington, D.C. Zimmerman and Houlihan, along with the mothers of these children, were members of the cult. Right? So upon their arrest, the two men claimed that they were on their way to Mexico to send their children to a, quote, school for brilliant children.
Yeah, and another interesting detail is that they refer to themselves as the children's teachers. And I don't know, I hope everyone that's listening to this knows what a teacher is. They don't often drive you around in a van.
They don't take you across state lines usually, let alone like the borders of countries.
Yeah.
And it's strange. But this claim paired with the apparent visible signs of abuse that we talked about on two of the children and the men's ties to the Finders cult sparked raids on the Finders properties, because this was a group that was it was developed, right? It was we'll get into a little history in a sec. But it sparked everyone wanted to raid these people. And authorities raided their properties in northeastern D.C. and outside of Culpeper, West Virginia, right? And the raid on the northeastern D.C. warehouse belonging to the Finders produced particularly haunting and damning evidence, right? So the D.C. police, they removed multiple large plastic bags full of color slides, photographs, photographic contact sheets, like all these things. And they shed light on some of the inner workings of the cult, all right?
Very much.
There were photographic evidence. There was photographic evidence of a 1960s style like commune type group. Like this is kind of what they were known to be. It's just a group of people trying to raise their children and function in society in just a different way. They kind of viewed themselves as like the new Quakers in a way.
And interestingly enough, this is kind of, if you want to take that route and you choose to believe that, it can be backed up by in the police reports. They noted that of the children, the oldest one, or what they perceived to be the oldest one, did most of the talking, and none of them knew what a stapler was.
That and some other shit I'll get to. Yeah,
they didn't know what
a stapler blew their goddamn minds.
Like you could do that?
It was crazy. But so after the evidence came out, and some of these photos included nude children appearing to carry out ritualistic activities such as bloodletting of animals, and a lot of children posing nude, and some of them were restrained with chains.
Yes.
Amidst all this mutilation of animals, and people were in white cloaks. It doesn't sound like a fun time.
I am so excited, honestly, because
are you
for the first time I think in a while on this show, we're building up this thing that it's all going to connect. Like everything is going to connect into a very confusing. Just what the fuck, and so just remember these things. Like keep them.
Remember all these things
because they will come back later and play a role.
Also discovered were written instructions on how to purchase children.
Yeah, well,
as well as lure them in and all that stuff.
Yeah, you got to have written instructions.
So just a bad stuff. So these discoveries led authorities to further investigate the Finders. Right, so. They were known at the time to be a group of roughly like 40 people, led by a man named Marion David Petty.
Mary Petty.
Or as he is sometimes referred to by his followers, the Game Caller.
Yeah,
right?
That's a strange one. I can't justify that one.
A lot of people who like have study his life and whatever, they say that his followers called him that because like he wanted to make everything a game. I don't even know what that means. That's a very broad thing to say. It's like he just liked to play games with us.
It's really
like,
funny.
I don't know what that means.
Because that's another detail that's going to come up later.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You guys are in for it. This is a good one.
Yeah. So he owned a duplex apartment in Glover Park, a warehouse in northeast Washington, D.C., and a 90-acre farm in rural Madison County, Virginia. All right, so let's get into these kids when all this happened. So when the children were originally taken into the police custody, half a dozen phone calls came in threatening the children's lives.
Mm-hmm.
At which time the police relocated all the children, set up around-the-clock armed guards to protect them, and began interviewing them. Okay. So the children claimed that Zimmerman and Houlihan were their teachers, like you said, and they had been living in a house with other children and adults. Their diet was solely of raw food, and they were only fed as rewards for good behavior. And they were also very unaware, this is getting into the stapler thing, of modern technology, like televisions, phones. They were also unaware of staplers, typewriters. They didn't know what that was.
Like, what
and
the
concept of hot water.
See, that one, that shocks me a little bit, only because, I mean, this is the 80s. I feel like hot water in America is not super hard to come by.
Hot water music.
I mean, you go anywhere, really, and find some hot water, you know? At least in the country.
Not where these kids are living, no.
But yeah, I guess in this, I mean, when you're eating raw meat, I guess you don't really, they couldn't put two and two together, like hot water, raw meat. We could make cooked food.
Nope. Raw food only. None of the kids even knew their goddamn, like, last names.
Yeah, I'm Jeff.
Jeff X. Like, I don't know.
What'd you say?
But, so yeah, they friggin' didn't know what that stuff was. The older ones of the group knew that one of the two men, Houlihan or Zimmerman, they were their fathers. So there was no real sense of like, you're my dad. It's like, oh, you're my teacher. I think you're the reason I'm here, but it's not really like a fatherly
it's more
situation.
It's more community setting than family setting. He's the father of every child that's in his possession at the time.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a lifestyle I'm accustomed to, but
no, me either.
You know, whatever.
So when questioned with the kids, when they were questioned about their living situation, they said that they were not allowed in the house. That the adults had to do what the game caller said, and then the children had to do what the adults said. So basically, the game caller is just in charge. Who was Marion Petty, by the way, again.
Mary Petty.
In case you forgot.
Think of Manny Petty. You know, you're going to go get a Manny Petty. It's pretty much what his name is.
Yeah, it's no, you're right.
Mary Petty.
So it was also uncovered through an interview with these children that the game caller, Marion Petty, owned a man named Steve.
Well, yeah.
That's the end of that. I don't know anymore. That was just a quotation I got from one of the kids.
Yeah,
he owned a man named Steve. And then when asked where they were traveling to at the time of the arrest, the children responded that they did not know. They were just moving from place to place and staying at campgrounds. Right?
How nice. I mean, it's like a long road trip.
I've taken vacations like that.
Where 8 people
there was
sleep in a vehicle.
far less nefarious pretenses.
It's just like, I'm going to sleep in this van with 8 other people, or 7 other people and myself, and just it'll be a great time. We'll see the world.
Got my raw food, got my no stapler.
What's this? You can
disregard
connect paper? That doesn't. What? Why would you need to do that?
To keep it all in order.
Does it hurt the paper? Why are you doing this to the paper?
Sentient paper. But this original story, though it made national headlines for about a week, only to be forgotten pretty instantly. It sparked conspiracy theorists to hone in on the finders, attempting to uncover the sinister details within, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, some theories to come from from this asserted that the CIA was involved in the finders' cult. Though the CIA and as well as the finders' leader, Marion Petty, deny these claims, Petty claims that the finders have never been involved with things such as child abuse, pornography, Satanism, or animal slaughter, but rather they are a communal, holistic living and learning arrangement. That's what he calls it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. They claim to partake in freelance journalism, research, and competitor intelligence for mostly foreign clients of theirs, but are sure to state that they do not do those services for foreign governments. Okay?
Interesting.
When raided, their properties were found to have computers and clocks set for time zones all around the world, along with a large number of enormous maps. So it looked legit. The office looks legit. However, authorities discovered Finders members' names in the FBI counterintelligence files. Interesting. Okay.
I like it.
Very strange. And an alleged customs report painted the picture of an international organization actively working with embassies from Moscow to Hong Kong. Okay.
Ooh.
The very same report also claims that the CIA blocked investigation of the child abuse and sex trafficking charges against Zimmerman and Houlihan. Very, very strange. Skeptics see the Finders as a group of misguided and eccentric adults and their families who were thrown into the spotlight of the media following the 1987 story printed by the New York Times. They're just some people.
Yeah.
You know, they're just folks.
Yeah, and it's funny because we'll get into it a little bit later, but there is two sides to this story that maybe they are. We don't know.
And I mean, there's evidence for either side. I mean, like there were like disgruntled. It can be backed up by like former disgruntled members who've spoken out about the cult. Like they claim that the Finders are indeed a cult. They're just like, no, it's totally a fucking cult. Head, get out. However, they deny any involvement with child trafficking or Satanist ritual or anything. But, you know, for many, this story is like it has undeniably strange and unexplained details that further solidify a belief that there's like some foul play here. Right? It's carried out by a very dark and nefarious group of individuals, maybe, located all around the world. Obviously an operation far larger than any one law enforcement's jurisdiction could grapple with, okay? So that's where it came in. Like, that's where the Finders came, like, they appeared on the national headlines. So everyone just kind of discovered them then.
Right. All right. So, pretty much my idea here is I'm going to give you a couple little rundowns of what else occurred in this group. So all this happened. Nothing really came of it. They investigated for years and nothing came of it. They reopened the case in '93 to examine it again, and honestly, they found some very interesting things. So the big one, the big kahuna here that I want to talk about, is the connection to the CIA that the Finders cult has. So in 2019, so this is years after the fact, over 600 pages of classified documents came out about the investigation into the Finders cult. And lo and behold, the CIA, as Jake said, the CIA and Marion Petty both deny their connections to each other. However, here's the however.
Yeah.
His wife, Isabel Petty, do you know what she did?
Pretty sure she worked in that big building. What shape was it?
No, she worked, she was a 21-year veteran for Air America.
Oh.
And anyone who knows, if you don't know about Air America, they are responsible for the trafficking of drugs into multiple countries around the world. They would legally do this, well, not legally, but they would do it all under the guise of activities and, flight patterns, things of that nature. And Air America was a CIA operation.
Yeah, his wife was like she was kind of like the desk job of that.
Yes.
Of that, and his son actually ended up being like one of the ground guys for that.
She is very connected.
Very connected in the intelligence.
So we have that going for us. I want to talk about a couple of the little, not conspiracies, but the little differences of opinion here. So we get we have a contradicting story because the teachers are telling us that they are being paid to drive the children to Mexico to a school for gifted children. On the flip side, the parents of these children are saying that they're on a road trip to Virginia to go back to where they all live. So we have some conflicting information coming out from both parties.
Yeah.
Now there's one big kahuna burger, if you will.
Oh yeah.
They did find a picture of a couple of Finders members with their children in white robes slaughtering a goat. And this sparked a big thing. I mean, this was 1987. The Satanic Panic is in full swing. People are freaking out about all this shit.
No one likes Satan for some reason.
So, I mean, I guess you kind of have to understand that this was a genuine fear of people back then. But the way that the Finders and Marion Petty specifically discuss this photo is that they are a self-sustaining community, and they pretty much what happened was they own a farm, and one of their goats was a real shithead in a sense.
He was eating cans. He was ramming people.
And they decided that it was best to kill him, and they would eat him. He would be the food, for the community.
Yeah.
And when pressed about why do you have a picture of people holding knives and wearing robes, that's a little satanic. They, along with many of the other members, one of the females included in the picture admitted this herself, that was a ritual that they did as a community to show the importance of life.
Yeah.
That they were not doing this because they were, sacrificing an animal. They were doing it simply because it's a ritual to teach the children about the importance of life, and don't take life unless it's necessary.
Yeah.
And when you do,
this is how you do it.
Respect it, pretty much. And, I mean, let's face it. Those are two very different stories. They're two very, very, very unique
very different
things.
framings of the same thing.
So you have to worry a little bit about that. Personally, for me, the Satanic Panic thing doesn't really get in. It doesn't do anything for me. It's like nothing really ever came of it,
I mean,
even in the large sense, like look at like a Richard Ramirez. They're like, oh, it's the Satanic Panic, and
he listened to AC/DC and
like,
now he kills people.
He was a guy that liked to kill people. Like if maybe he does worship Satan. I don't know. Doesn't mean that he's part of some government operation to spread the devil.
Yeah.
It's like it could literally be happenstance. You don't know, I guess. But all of this, it adds some more fuel to the fire, I guess you'd say. Who do we believe in this scenario? Marion Petty or the accusers? However, where are the accusers? There's really the only thing they're trying to investigate if something's happening.
That's why it's so interesting. I mean, there's no one really outright saying, this is what's happening, except people just speculating about this whole thing that was contained within a system.
And one of the big things that spread in the media in the initial frenzy of it in 87 was the idea that the Finders, one of their main objectives in at least dealing with the children in the group, is to wean them off of the parents. And it's pretty self-explanatory. It's the same with how one of the girls that was interviewed by the police recognized one of the teachers as her father.
Yeah.
It's a process of, we're community. Your parents, your siblings, we're all parents and siblings to you. There's not one.
Yeah, the Finders themselves, Marion Petty, he focused in on hammering into these people the sense of futurism and self-exploration. That was the whole main front.
Mm-hmm.
If it was a front at all, but.
And this was slightly backed up by comments that Marion Petty made, and he was also a veteran of the Army and the Air Force, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So, you kind of get that old school mentality of rigidness, very strict. We're going to do this. Self-sufficient, I guess, if you will. And it would make sense that would translate into how he wanted to run his group. Now, there's claims that he had sex with all the female members of the group. That's a very common accusation
for cults. Yeah,
in this world. It's pretty much literally the only outlier of the ones that we've covered that didn't was Brother 12, and that's because Brother 12's wife was more insane than him.
She was insane.
So he
Whipping
was
people.
He was the byproduct. But yeah, so no one really knows, but it's very interesting because there's a connection here to China, and it's going to be a little weird because no one thought of this at all in 1987. But in the van, they found a Chinese to English dictionary.
Mm-hmm.
Weirdly enough, and even on March 23rd of 87, one of the Finders members was talking to the media, and I have a quote right here. Quote, "This is the farewell from the Finders. We're breaking up. You won't hear from the Finders again until the Chinese are running Hong Kong." That was in 1987.
Oh my god.
And I'm just saying, it's
interesting. It's definitely worth noting.
It has some pivotal connections to what's happening in the world right now.
Yeah.
And so during this investigation, because of these declassified documents, we know that there were exchanges between emails between the members of the Finders cult and Europe, Japan, Africa, and South America.
And it's crazy because this was like before email was a thing. Like this is like pretty much the earliest version of email, and they had it just like in their fucking van.
Mm-hmm. And now this leads people to believe this connection that they have to China, and this essentially, I mean, we don't have any concrete evidence of an exchange of services, but there are connections. There's friendships, there's partnerships. And it's believed now that maybe the Finders were selling child pornography to people via email, because
maybe
it would make sense why they would have connections to all of these countries. And why else would you need a Chinese to English dictionary when you have a bunch of kids from Virginia?
And fucking enormous garbage bags full of child porn.
Right. It's weird. So we do have to talk about the cover up here a little bit, because
there's obviously some strange shit going on. Dude, I didn't think I mentioned it. Houlihan and Zimmerman, when the cops approached them and they was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" One of them got like super defensive, and the other one pretended to faint.
Interesting.
And they both gave fake names. It was like they're up to something.
Well, there's this guy, I want to talk about him a little bit. His name is Skip Clements.
That's a good name.
He's an investigator that lived in Stuart, Florida, and this guy made a deal with China in the year of 1990, and he was to be the sole exporter of Florida oranges to China. That was his deal.
That's badass.
Mm-hmm. And that's a little bit of background just so you know how he got involved in this scenario. He obviously had to work with the customs service because he's exporting goods from America to China. And he believes, he learned by the year 1992 that the customs service, they dropped the case against the Finders and the child pornography thing because the CIA pretty much badgered them to drop the case.
Mm-hmm.
So they were trying to investigate. The government was involved, and the CIA was like, give it up. Like, give it the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
And Skip Clements, he's so crazy. In 1993, he's still preaching about it. And that is when the DOJ sent out a memo that the Finders need to be reinvestigated. That the case needs to be reopened. They need to figure out what the fuck's going on. And this time they're not looking at catching the Finders. They're looking to see if there was any connection to the CIA. So now it's getting real.
Now it's getting
down and dirty. And No one can answer the question. I mean, it's 2020 and we still don't know. Even with the declassified documents, we don't know.
Well, I mean, pushing on something that's all within the same system, it's kind of like just forcing someone's fucking aim with their pistol towards their foot, and they're just trying to fight it. Like, they're not going to willingly do that.
And then, so in 93, when this case gets reopened, it doesn't have the same media attention it did when it first came out. But this is when a lot of ex-members started coming out and talking about their experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of had both sides of the aisle. You had the people that were very like, yeah, it was a cult, but it just wasn't for me. But like, we weren't like doing anything bad. We were just like hanging out.
Yeah.
And then there was people that, they said there was blackmail. There was even claims that they were burning down houses to keep people in line.
Sounds like Scientology.
And this is sort of, in a way, backed up by local police reports of certain crimes that happened in the area. But nothing really came of it other than more speculation added to this fucking shit pile of stuff no one knows about.
Yeah.
So, as soon as it really got hot and heavy and they were going to investigate, they completely disbanded, or what they say disbanded. And essentially what they did is the finders moved themselves to Virginia, and they did nothing. They were hardly a group at this point. Marion Petty, he was noted as walking around the town daily. He would just kind of hang out and just scope out the town.
Wow.
It is interesting, though, because they bought an old theater, and they would like troll the town with what they put on the marquee. They would just put things like free money.
What?
And just weird things they would throw up. One of the things I was reading about it was like, if you want to find true love, look in your bank account. And it was just like stupid little
just little
jokes.
witticisms that like auto places do in like small towns.
Yeah, and this kind of carried on. This led people to believe that they were still a group. They had no official, really, I guess, group meetings or anything like that, or the White Knights, like Jimmy J would have. But in 2003 or 4, they really can't seem to pin it down for some reason. Mary Petty died.
Yeah.
And
I read 2004 in a bunch of places.
And after that, really, we've heard little to nothing about it. Now, there were a couple of crimes, both old and new, that were kind of connected or believed to be maybe connected to the finders. And the only one I want to bring up is John David Gosh or Gosh. And
either one's good.
That name might be slightly familiar to you people because this was also a victim in the Franklin cover-up.
There you go. Go back and listen to that too.
And no one really knows if it was the finders or them, but the mother, Noreen Gosh, was told that she had received pictures of her son naked, beaten, and tied up, and pretty much with like a for sale sign, like they were selling. It was an ad for her child.
Jesus Christ.
So they had that, and then in 2018, Anna Elizabeth Young, she was also known as Mother Anna. She was arrested in Georgia, and this all happened because she was the leader of the House of Prayer for All People, which was a cult that was in Gainesville, Florida in the 80s.
So many cults.
Her history also included her being a member of a cult in both Michigan and Puerto Rico, all sending all the way back to the 1970s. So this bitch is just enjoying the cult life.
It's a lifestyle.
She was arrested for torture and the premeditated murder of a boy known as Moses.
Oh, don't worry. That's just cult shit. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. And really the only reason this kind of brought up the finders is because she had connection to a lot of different cults in the area. And they're not sure if she was a member or maybe an associate or a friend of the cult. But obviously it raised some flags because, I mean, you gotta look at all your options when you're talking about this shit.
Yeah.
So, really, I guess the question the question is simple. The answer is not simple.
No, it never is.
Were the Finders a cult? Were they not a cult? That's part A of the question. Part B, were they a solo run operation that just got off the ground because Marion Petty was just a beloved man? Or did they have stronger connections to maybe some type of government? We know that his wife, Mrs. Petty, was a seasoned veteran of Air America who is also extremely under scrutiny when it comes to kind of doing things under the table, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And then I guess part C of that question would be, depending on what your answers were for A and B, what were they? That's where you form your final answer. Like, what are they?
I don't know, man.
And it's interesting because it's a cult. It's both a cult, a sex ring, and a government conspiracy wrapped into one. Because it could be all three.
I feel like it is.
I'll be honest. I think as far, at least with the information that I've seen and I have access to, I have no real reason to believe that it's a sex trafficking ring or things of that nature. I think more realistically, child porn would be a way for them to make money and connections and blackmail. And that is a tool that they use. But again, I mean, yes, I'm not condoning that.
I mean, where do you draw the line when it comes to like making money off of child pornography, using children in your society,
exactly,
and being connected to like the higher ups and the intelligence agencies and all these things who have a lot to do with the sex trafficking going on?
Exactly,
because they're all involved in the same thing. I don't know, man. And Marion Petty, like, he's had connections to these guys ever since he was in the force, or whatever it is, the Air Force, military. Ever since he was in the military, he was like rubbing shoulders with these guys. And after he got out, he basically just bought all these properties and made them open houses. He's like, anyone who wants to be here, especially in the intelligence agency, can come. And his big slogan was like, I am here to learn everything and say nothing. That was something he lived by. So it's just a whole crock of shit and a bunch of secrets. And it's like, he is a cult leader, because I would say it's a cult. That's where I think we differ. Like, I think it definitely is a cult having to do. He's higher up in like the government ties than, like, say, Jim Jones, you know? Like,
yeah.
Because he was just, like, commingling. He was just, like, running for things, and people knew who he was. He was involved with politics. This is a whole nother level. Like, this is the Central Intelligence Agency, and he's involved, and he's in a cult, and he's doing all these, like, child sex things. I think this is, like, the most important cult that we've covered when it comes to the grand scale of it.
Yeah,
because their whole front is, like, an entire, like, all around the world business consultation and like competition. Mm-hmm. It's fucked.
I'm gonna throw out the conspiracy side and at least to me personally, what I perceive to be a more realistic spin. The conspiracy side would be that they are, you know, a group funded by the CIA to both stir controversy, keep people into the idea of, like, be afraid of cults. It kind of spreads this fear of any form of fringe group is bad. You shouldn't do that. That's the conspiracy side. Now, at least to me, what I think could be realistic would be that Marion Petty is just a well-connected man. He used some of his ties and his, you know, influence on people, same with his wife, to kind of do these back alley deals and make money off of illegal things to pay for his own community ideal. And by doing that, he connected himself to the government, who made it a negative spin into the satanic panic. It's a beneficial relationship for both of them, because the CIA gets to step in and say, we're going to bust this shit down. We're going to, like, stop this spread of Satanism, cultist, sex activity. and he gets to sell his child porn and like make his money, and they both get what they want.
Yeah.
And
there's so many layers of secrecy because I guarantee like the members weren't like most of the members, if any of them, were not in on it.
No,
like it was all Marion Petty, and like that's just like there's so many layers of secrecy. It's fucked.
Yeah, and it's weird because I guess back to my question, it's kind of a rhetorical question. Where do you go with that information? I mean, we have this. There's really no concrete evidence one way or the other. I mean, it was investigated multiple times. We found, or I shouldn't say we, they found plenty of circumstantial evidence to support the claim of either side. And we're kind of we're at a wash. It's offsetting each other,
I guarantee the only reason that evidence was even collected was because it was done by like local law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't state, it wasn't
probably.
federal. It was all just people like, this is my day job. This is some crazy shit, so they put it in a report. But otherwise, it would have been like nipped in the bud early, and the CIA wouldn't have had to fucking intimidate anyone into keeping silent.
Right? Mitch is here. If you guys
Mitch is
know,
here. We forgot to say that.
He's just been sitting here. Mitch, I want to hear your thoughts on this.
What's going on over there?
Little ditty of a doo-wop we got.
Well, this is a super interesting story. One thing, this is just a comment before I go into my thing. When she was explaining, like, oh, we're trying to keep the kids, away from their parents, or, program them to not believe in their parents, or to, you know what I'm saying. It kind of reminded me of like the ancient Greeks, how they would, the kids didn't know who their parents were because it was the community. It's like, everyone's your parent, we're this big, community, whatever. I don't know. I just thought of that. I don't know. But I really don't think the Finders, I don't think they're a cult now. Like the way you summed it up kind of makes sense to me.
I mean, I could be wrong. It's just the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah, it was just this Marion Petty guy.
They're too unorganized to be a cult.
I feel like they're a cult in the sense... All right, how do I word this? Like, he didn't set out to just, like, start a cult. Like, there's reasons for it tied to the government agencies. And the product of that was a cult. Like, the cult itself is a tool for him. It's not like something he's running. It's something he's using.
Yeah,
that's what.
much.
That's in that sense. That's what I mean when I say I think it's a cult.
I can get down on that.
I just like, like making it like a cover up. Like, yeah, I understand what you're saying about how it's a cult, but I could definitely see the cult being a front for all the shady stuff that Marion Petty's doing. Yeah, no, exactly.
All right. I can get down on this. I like that.
So where do we go from here? I got 9-1 dialed. Should I hit
Should I
hit the
do
extra
it?
one?
Do I do it?
Do I do it? How do we explain this? Do we just play this episode for the guy on the other end of the phone?
The guy.
The guy.
Just, hey, buddy, listen to this. Do something.
Give me your best cops.
But yeah, I mean it's really ultimately up to the viewer, I guess, to make your decision on what you think. But the information is very substantial, I guess you'd say.
There's a shit ton of it.
It's everywhere.
And it's all pretty much the same story, but there's little weird little details in each fucking thing.
It's like diarrhea.
It's very, very overwhelming.
Uh-huh.
It is strange how, there's like little things that get thrown in. Like the whole China thing. How it's like when the Chinese take back Hong Kong.
Oh yeah.
That is kind of weird to me, but
it's weird. It's like a Nostradamus-esque prediction.
Yeah. Who knows, man? Who friggin' knows?
But that
crazy.
Is the Finders.
Crazy story. Yeah, that was the Finders.
We love it. We will be back next week.
What do you think about that?
We'll also be back Tuesday for our very loyal patrons. We'll have an episode for you then.
Oh, yes, we will.
It'll be lovey-dovey.
Quick and cuddly hour or so.
But yeah, just be careful out there. Just be careful.
Yeah, don't be found. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, seriously, don't.
Don't do that.
But with that being said,
yeah,
I love you.
Yeah, I love you too. We are starting a cult this random Jake. Mitch was here. He was speaking earlier. And you should follow us on all that shit.
Oh, yeah.
Twitter, Instagram, Facebook is in there. We got the email, startacult@gmail.com. And you can listen to us on Acast, Spotify, all these places. But you're listening, so you know that. And there's a link below for the podcast Patreon. All right?
Boom.
So go ahead and click that, maybe. Spread the word.
And just remember, we're never going to be able to find the finders because they find us.
Oh, man.
They do.
They find us shallow and pedantic.
Bye.
Bananas!